Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. We had a series of podcasts on becoming a PM. So I'm inviting people from different backgrounds so that you can learn a lot from their journey. So today we have Gaurav, who is working as a product manager at Solytics Partners. He has 4 years of experience in product management and growth, and he has also done his MBA. So let's get into the podcast. Hi Gaurav, thanks a lot for coming here and for your time. If you can give a quick introduction to our audience, it would be helpful.
First of all, thank you, Manoj. Thanks a lot for having me on your podcast. It's an honor. Right. So a quick intro about me. So as Manoj said, I'm Gaurav, and I have 4 years of experience across product management, entrepreneurship, growth, product management. Right. So what my journey looks like is I'm an engineer, computer engineer by qualification from PICT Pune, and post that I tried to pursue entrepreneurship with two of my friends as my co-founders. So there my role was, it was a diverse role. I was wearing multiple hats. I was creating user flows. I was coding the front end of the platform. I was creating algorithms, right? Wireframes, everything, a lot of things. We were doing market research as well by ourselves. So I and my friends were doing everything that one would not want to do in their first job, right? We were doing those things because it was our own startup. It was entrepreneurial effort, right? So that's where sort of the knack for product management started growing in me. And post that, I joined again a small startup where I was one of the very initial hires. And there I started in a social media role, but very quickly, within a couple of months, that turned into a full-fledged growth product management role where I was tasked with, growing different metrics for different clients, B2B and B2C clients, consulting them on how they can grow their how they can grow their different metrics like acquisition, awareness, how they can improve the retention, all those kind of things, right? Including monetization, etc. So post that, I always wanted to do MBA, sort of wanted to explore how the life in a B school looks like, right? What are the perks of going to a B school? And that's when I took a small career break, right, to pursue masters from very reputed Department of Management Sciences, Pune University, also known as PUMBA widely. So did my MBA from there in marketing and systems, and post that I joined Joveo as a line of products which included multiple products, right? So I served there for roughly, I guess some 15 months roughly, right? And recently I have become part of a very prestigious organization in the domain of finance, fintech, basically B2B fintech, called Solytics Partner. So currently I'm serving as a product manager over there. Very innovative products we are building, right? And I'm part of the team, so glad to be there. And yeah, over to you, Manoj. How I can contribute to your audience's journey? Let me know.
I think your journey is really interesting. It has multiple pieces that would be helpful. Like it has MBA, you have done entrepreneurship. I think we can deep dive into that. So, I have
Yeah,
curated a list of questions that common audience has, right, who are transitioning to product role. So I'll ask the questions one by one. And the first question is, what is product management according to you? Because it's a very diverse field, right? And let's say even depending on the stage of the company, I feel the work would change a bit. So, what is product management according to you?
product management, as you said, Manoj, right? It's a diverse kind of role, right? I mean, you have to wear multiple hats at the same time, right? So product manager, I would try to define in the way I understand it, I execute it, right? But before that, one has to understand that a product management looks different in different levels of organization. When I say level, what do I mean? A startup in a 0 to 1 journey would make product manager look like a very different role compared to a stable startup, compared to a big tech company like Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, Google, giant companies, right? Tech giants. So every company has this role very different, right? But there are few definitions which resonate a lot highly with me when it comes to what product manager is, right? One very fundamental definition of product manager that I understand and I agree with is he or she is the enabler of things, right? So wherever there is something stuck, right, wherever something needs to be done, you enable your team, your colleagues, your stakeholders to do that. So very high bias for action is something that comes into the role over there, right? That's one. Second that I highly resonate with is product manager is evangelizer of the business. Basically, uh, product manager, he or she tells what needs to be built right now, right? What is the feature, what is the product, which is the direction we should head into right now, and he or she also defines very well why we should do that specific thing and why at that specific time, right? Maybe you may say, okay, let's build this feature, but that feature is not going to be adopted by people on earth for maybe next 10 years, right? It's maybe way too ahead of its time. So you need to be careful with not only with that aspect that okay, this is something futuristic, we should build it. No, not only that, the timing of it also, right? That is why I said the evangelizer of business and enabler of things. These are two definitions I understand, Manoj, which I highly resonate with. And other than that, I believe every company makes it look very different, right? Some companies will make you do the marketing things sometimes. Some companies ask their product manager to look after the performance marketing and all those kind of things. There are actually small startups or companies that are like that, right? Some companies will ask you to manage the projects also, right? So it's very different, right? Large organizations have an individual available for every smallest of the possible thing. They have a business analyst, they get you a product analyst, they get you a designer, they get you a marketing guy, they get you whatever you want, right? Whatever kind of resources you want. Whereas in the small startup, it would look different, right? Maybe the product manager is by himself or herself with respect to sometimes design, maybe with respect to the basic analytics, with respect to business analysis, right? The product manager himself herself will have to do that, right? There might not be a resource for that. So I think this is what it looks like in different companies, and these two definition are what I highly resonate with.
Got it. I think the interesting point is like right time, right? Building the right product at the right time. Because I also saw
That's
some examples like Apple launches the model according to the adoption and technology, right? The higher internet
that's true.
penetration, the better the product. Faster the internet,
That's correct.
then they would launch products with higher camera resolution, higher storage, etc. Right?
That's true.
Uh,
That's true.
uh, yeah, I think the next question I had, like generally, right? How did you discover product management? And let's say why did you choose it?
This came in very organically for me. As I told you, in the first job, I did not know first job as in my own startup, right? I was so two of my friends had that idea. They wanted to build something. They hired me, and I was tasked as a product manager. At that time, I did not know what product manager is. I was just googling things and getting things executed. Right? It was more towards building the first MVP, get it validated from the market. It was that kind of journey, right? So it started very organically like that. I did not know, but I was put into that role. It kind of became that. In my next job, I understood what growth product management is, what different metrics, what funnel looks like, how different metrics are grown, what are the different tactics, techniques, processes, etc. I am very serious about product management was during my MBA because during my MBA I was contemplating amongst three possible options. One was consulting, another was product management, and third was uh, product marketing or growth marketing, right? I was contemplating amongst these three for various reasons, right? One, when one goes to a B school, right? Always everyone has an eye for I want a bigger package, I want a better paycheck, right? That's one parameter. But again, important hai, but not that significant. I think profile is something which is super important, right? Because if you get into a wrong job, the cost could be way higher, right? So these three were there, which I was contemplating amongst because I felt okay. I have an overall understanding of things how happen, different business models because I had worked as growth product manager with different clients in my second job, right? So I had that kind of experience, a holistic sort of experience where I understand okay, B2B business operates differently than a B2C and how they operate differently. That I had seen very closely because I had worked with those teams to understand their pain points, right? So consulting, where you consult people and you have a kind of a 360-degree view of the problem, that was one. Second was product management for this very similar reason, where you sort of own the product, evangelize it, you decide what to build, why it has to be built, why at that time it has to be built, right? So again, a kind of a 360-degree view of things. And third was growth marketing because in the previous role as a growth PM, I had seen that social or digital marketing side plus product management thinking, collaborating, and making the product grow very, very closely because I was the owner of that function over there, right? So this three became the natural choice for me during MBA. And then I was like, okay, in consulting, maybe McKinsey, Bain, and BCG do not come to my college, so there's zero freaking chance of getting into that, right? I don't know, right? External or lateral is possible into those organizations. If I don't come from a tier one college, if that's possible or not, I was not sure of, right? And then come the product marketing and product management, and I had seen product marketing or growth marketing upfront closely take blame for retention so many times, right? Whereas the product manager had screwed up the feature or something, and that is and people are blaming the marketing team. I had seen that, and I had an opinion. Okay, let me get into product management so that I actually own the nuances and the the deeper layers of the product building, so that I can contribute in a better way. So that's how I zeroed down upon product management and then decided like very strategically, okay, this is the option I'm going to pursue, and then I sort of went to pursue that option.
Got it. And I think the common problem I see is getting your first PM job, right? So just curious to know, how did you get your first PM job? Was it a first product manager full-time job or was it an internship? And how did
So
you get it?
you talk. So first PM job that I had in my own startup as a co-founder. Like one of my co-founders, like he had the original idea and he hired me in a way, right? So that was PM job. But the true larger exposure to in a sense when I say this, right, like a truly multi-million dollar company where there are foreign clients and you're interacting heavily with them and etc. kind of things, right? Sort of very tech heavy and all. So that was with Joveo post MBA, right? And how did I go there was, so it did not happen through college because right, Joveo did not come there, simple reason, right? So this happened externally or laterally, simply speaking, through a community, a very specific community. So that happened through a community. They came there for hiring people who already understand and know product management for APM level, and they sort of took a test. They gave us a case study to solve, and I think a lot of people applied. Three individuals were shortlisted out of a huge batch, I guess. I was one of them, and post that case study round, I think they just discarded those other two folks as well, and they just took my candidature forward, and that's how it happened.
Got it. I think you were in MBA, and any specific courses you did for like learning product management, or was whatever taught in MBA was sufficient, or how did you learn product management?
So as I told you, before MBA, I worked, right? So there I got a slight hint of what this thing is, right? But still, I was not able to put the structure around what exactly this job is, right? Because if you see 2019, 2020, during those time, there was no dedicated course on product management available in India, right? So
Hmm.
this struck to my mind first time during MBA, I guess 2021 ke around, early 2021 Jan Feb ke around. That okay, I need to find a course. And when I started finding course, I could not find a course which I can afford. The only course that I found was product school. And I was like, okay, this is a US based company. They teach you, they give you a certification, but it's quite expensive, like really expensive. I think that time I saw that certification, it costed some $5,000 or $6,000, and that was certainly not something the kind of amount I was ready to shell out on a simple certification, because there was no significant outcome associated with that, right? So there's no placement assistance or there's no kind of very proactive support for how to find or hunt a job, right? So I was like, okay, this option is gone. Then what I did was I started hunting, digging, and scavenging different resources. But how I did it was very smartly. So what I did was I tried to find what is the syllabus of a product management course in different courses. Basically, there were some US based courses. One was from not UK, Netherlands. There's a Netherlands based startup which also used to conduct a course, but again like 6,000 euros and all, very expensive. So I started downloading their curriculum, and I was like, okay, which means there is a pattern to this, there is structure to this. So basically, you first understand that product manager has this particular job, and there is an approach to that. You do the user research or product discovery, market research, these things. Then you derive the insight. Then you get a list of problems. Then you prioritize those problems. So then my mind started wrapping a structure around that syllabus. Okay, there is a certain syllabus and there is a certain structure to that syllabus, right? And then what I did was, since I could not afford shelling out 5, 6,000 euros or dollars on simple certification, I started referring to free resources for those things. So let's say you have JTBD framework written in that syllabus. Okay, I know, okay, JTBD framework is part of this syllabus. At that point, I don't know maybe what is JTBD syllabus, right? Or JTBD framework, right? So what I do is I go to YouTube, I go to Google, and I search key what JTBD framework is, right? So this is how I first built my own curriculum free of cost. कि okay, ये मतलब free में हम ये सब कर सकते हैं types are. And then later on, I think this was 2021 July or August, a lot of Indian communities and startups were formed who were giving courses on product management, right? So this was, I remember this was exactly June and July 2021. But before that, if you go, I don't think there was much. There were few communities active in India, like the product folks is a very big and very reputed one, but they sort of had became inactive because of COVID. Not only TPF, but a lot of other communities. A local community based out of Pune also there was. So they became inactive because of COVID. And that was the reason I could not find a course. And that's how I built my own course for my first understanding of it. Okay, what this role looks like. The challenge was not, I have to learn this specific tool or this specific skill. The challenge was to wrap the mind around what this entire thing looks like. Right. And that's how it happened for me.
Got it. I think the way you formed the syllabus, that's a very nice idea, right? You took a very reputed course, got the syllabus, and for every line item or the module, you find the free resource that's available online on YouTube or any other place. Got it. And the next question I had is like when you were trying to get your first job, like did you apply for multiple companies or you got in your first shot, or what was the problems you faced like when you were trying to get your first PM job? I think
Lot of
I
problems
faced
here.
around
I mean,
50 rejections, right? In my third year, I simply started applying. I was from a tier 3 college. I didn't even modify my
okay.
resume and all. I was a very noob kind of a person at that time, right? I simply started applying for 50 companies and then I got to know, okay, yeah, thoda resume वगैरह I need to make case studies, projects and all. So that was something initially I didn't know and I was doing. So how was your journey to
So I
start with?
Yeah, right. So what I had learned was ki okay, gone are the days of resume, right? You need to have a portfolio where there are projects, right? So you need to showcase. So my resume was decent because I had worked on tons of things, though they're not very reputed big companies like Facebook or something or Google. Very small startup with just one or two people, but I had a diverse experience, right? So my resume was good in that sense, and MBA also taught a lot of things, right? That's one. I had number of certifications on my resume, so it was decent overall. Then the next task that was like in phases, right? The first phase was you need to have a good portfolio, right? So what I did was I took few products, I took like random problem statement, like you need to improve user experience for phone pay, you need to increase revenue for Swiggy or profit for Swiggy, like these kind of problem statements. I took product, I took random problem statement. I sometimes took product, I did the user discovery, I actually went and spoke with 20, 30 people and then found a problem statement worth solving, right? So this is how I created case studies like what we generally know product deck or product case studies, right? I created few of them, like 5 or 6, I guess. I put that, my resume, my certifications, everything, my achievements, everything in a one good Notion document, sort of call it like a portfolio, right? Now I have a portfolio, I have a resume, I have an engineering degree, I have an MBA, I have 2 years of 3 years of work experience. Now what do I need? Now I need to reach out to people. How I did that was basically I sort of again first very first step of that is you have to optimize your LinkedIn profile. Very simple, but very basic. Like if you don't do that, you are missing out on a lot. You have to optimize your LinkedIn profile in a way that it shows you product management related hiring post or content related to product manager. You have to fine tune your job section in a way that it gives you notifications regarding product hirings, right? Be it APM, PM, product analyst, business analyst level. So I started approaching companies who are hiring APM, product analyst, PM roles, right? PM1 type of roles. And how I did that was again, it's a very elaborate process here, honestly. Like Like just going to LinkedIn and doing that easy apply does not work in my understanding and opinion, and a lot of people resonate with that, I guess. Right. So what I used to do was I would go to someone's profile, I would use a Chrome extension, I would extract their email ID, I would find their professional email ID. So I know if a company, let's say your company, let's say Delivery is hiring for a particular APM PM1 role. So what I would do is I would reach out to their HR. I would reach out to at least 3 to 4 individuals from their product team on LinkedIn, and I know there is a probability that some of them or maybe all of them will not even see my message on LinkedIn. So I would ensure that with a tool like Apollo or some Chrome extension like Scrapio or Snowvio, right? I have their professional email ID, so I would send a very specific templatized message also to them. Okay, this is me, this is my intro, this is my qualification, this is my experience, and this is why I want to work with your company. This is my portfolio. Please check it out, right? So I used to do this entire thing, put a tracker in that mail so that I know if the person has opened the mail, how many times, whether they have downloaded my portfolio, everything, right? How many times they clicked, etc. 100 companies. So I guess I interviewed for roughly 10. Matlab, that ratio of sending an application versus getting the interview is also not really great, right? That's also difficult nowadays. So I think I interviewed for 8 or 10 companies. Out of them, a few were for PMM role, and 3 or 4 were for APM role. So I converted two in APM, two companies for APM role, and I think I had roughly 4 or 5 offers for PMM role. So that is how I did it. Like, so it looks like that. I mean, just applying on LinkedIn, I don't think that is going to work out for anyone.
Got it. I think the steps you told, right, very, very clear and interesting, right? Step one,
Very articulate.
find some
Yep.
people. Step two, send them an email or LinkedIn asking for referral or reach out to
Yep.
HR, right?
Yep.
Step three, track
Yep.
follow. Uh,
Everything. And one step I forgot to mention, which is again part of this one only. You have to take follow up, right? You have to be shameless about that. People feel a lot of times, if I know this podcast will reach few individuals at least, right? I think your community is also growing close to 1,000 subs now, right? So I think whoever is seeing this, right, please know and understand this, that in corporate world, HR or whoever is hiring is getting tons and tons of applications for any job, because in India for one job there are at least 1,000 applications anytime, right? So it is your duty to ensure that you take follow from the HR or the hiring manager or whoever is giving a referral to you. It's not their job to reach out to, it's your job to reach out to them and take the follow up. Hello sir, ma'am, what's happening, is there any update on that front, right? So follow up is something I believe a lot of individuals miss out on great opportunities because they don't take follow up or they take follow up late. That's very key point.
Got it. Yeah, even I realized this way, right? Because their job is not to get us a job. Their job is different that they are doing, right? Our
Correct.
job is
Exactly.
like our main major pain point, our priority is we want a job, but their priority is not that, right? So exactly.
Correct.
Got it.
And whenever someone is hiring for a role, right, they created their funnel, like they first find internal job posting if someone part of the company is interested in this role, right? That is one. Second, they qualify referrals. Okay, from the existing colleagues, someone has got referral for someone. Okay, is anyone good amongst the referrals? And then the third go for very specialized job boards, right? There could be a job board for PM jobs, so application coming in from there or a specific community like yours, right? Become a PM, right? And then at the very last they go for generic applications coming in from LinkedIn, Naukri, etc. That is why referral is important.
The next question I had is what are the top skills that a product manager should have? Like top five skills, maybe.
Honestly, if you see uh, JD job description that are floated nowadays on LinkedIn, it sometimes feel like product manager has to be a god or a Superman ka version, right? They
Full
want
stack PM.
everything. फुल स्टैक नहीं मतलब फुल स्टैक प्रो मैक्स पीएम चाहिए उनको, right? But that's that's just impossible. I'll tell you. Okay, so there are hard skills and there are soft skills, I believe. Okay, so if I go for hard skill, what do I mean by that is the tools that you have to learn or things that you can actually execute. So you should know basics of web scraping or data scraping, how data is collected from somewhere. Scraping is a very interesting thing. People who don't know that should definitely learn. It can make you millions of dollars. So scraping is one thing, right? Because you have to play with data a lot. Then fundamental or basic data analytics you should know in Excel at least, if not anything else. Then again, you have to pull out data from your database, SQL. It could so you should know what databases are fundamentally, what querying a database to pull or extract the data out. How does it look like? How do you write a query which gives you in the output a certain data, right, in a tabular form or non-tabular form? So data analysis, I would say, web scraping. Data analysis mean there are multiple tools, right? If you are a website, you need Google Analytics. If you are an app, you have this Firebase, you have this your Mixpanel, CleverTap, Amplitude, etc. Like top-notch tools, right? So at least know few of them, right? And Excel and SQL is like non-negotiable. वो तो पता ही होना चाहिए, right? Then designing is important. First, not only go for like understanding how Figma is used as a designer, right? Understand the fundamental principles of design also, right? So designing, data, data analysis, data collection, designing, then what else? I think hard skills may are I think these are two major ones. If you can create basic content, basic email marketing, at least have a basic idea of what marketing looks like for a product or a feature that is launched. That can help you as a product manager eventually when you launch a feature or a product, help you get on good terms with marketing team, right? You need to talk with your PMM to ensure that he or she markets your product or feature well, right? So having a basic sense of that. But then I think there are a lot of soft skills, Manoj, that PM has to have. One could be your prioritization skill, how you think around the problems. You need to have good mental models, right? Mental models is a fantastic concept that a lot of people don't know outside of PM community, I think, right? So people should learn that. So prioritization is that, mental models is that, communication, right? We feel communication means just speaking to each other or writing mails or writing messages. No, effective communication, I mean, right? Learn effective communication. Who you're talking to, right? I will not send the same message to a executive versus a senior management, right? I know the target user persona is different, so I'll send a different message to that. Like it should resonate with that, right? So communication, prioritization, then I think these are major ones. Mental models, as I said. There's structured thinking, right? How do you put things into structure, right? There is a lot of chaos coming at me as a product manager, but maybe I can put them into a structure, like things that need to be enhanced, things that are new initiatives, and things that could be just noise. I will ignore that, okay, for time being. So structured thinking, I think, is the number one critical skill that a PM has to have, and along with communication, right? Two. Third would be stakeholder management. Fifth would be, I say, mental models. And again, we are coming back to the communication. So these three, four skills are, I believe, very fundamental to this role.
Makes sense. Yes. And like communication covers most of them, most of the skills.
Exactly.
Uh,
Yep. Yep.
and the next question I had is, so let's say apart from marketing, right? We also work with the tech team, the developers, right? So
Correct.
does a
Yeah.
product manager need to know how to code? Or what is the level of understanding a product manager should have about technology?
I personally believe, because I am a computer engineer, I am a graduate in computer engineering, and I have coded somewhat, right? So I personally believe it's super awesome to have understanding of coding, right? But this does not mean that you go and start coding right away, learn and become a full stack dev. No, that's not required. But you should understand, when I say product manager should understand technology, what I mean is objectively, you should understand system design, right? How your product or feature ka technical architecture looks like, right? And why you need to understand these concepts is because there could be trade-offs at everything, right? When you as a product manager define, okay, we have to build this feature, this is why we have to build it, and this is what it does, or this is what it looks like you give you designs and wireframes and everything. Now engineering team will take it up and they will define how it has to be defined, right? So you as a PM define why and what, and engineering team defines the how, right? How it has to be built. Now maybe you are a PM for a mobile app, and let's say mobile app means time, right? The quick response, everything has to be super fast, super good, right? Super smooth UI. And maybe the engineering team has chosen a database which maybe does not operate very fast, or they have created architecture which does not operate that quickly, considering that you are building the feature or product for the mobile app, right? Now there they will show you something. Okay, Manoj, okay, Gaurav, we have chosen this architecture, this kind of design, technical design. And at that time, if I or you are not able to understand, okay, this will lead to a slow user experience or a bad user experience. If we are not, we as a product manager are not able to gauge that, then that feature will be productionized, it will be developed, it will be released, and then when people will say, okay, this feature is shit because the user experience is shit, it will come down to you or I, right? Because we are the product manager who finally approved that, right? So I believe system design is something, architecture, technical infrastructure ka architecture, that is what something PM should understand. And coding ka yaar, I personally believe there are courses, good courses online, free of cost, some on YouTube, some on Coursera, etc. Right? Should explore and at least understand what a code is, how it operates, right? So I think that level of understanding is good, and at least this much though you should have. If you want to become a PM, you should definitely have this much of understanding.
Got it. Cool. I think the next question I have is, okay, how does a day in your life look like, right? Day in the life of a product manager in general. You'd have worked with multiple companies. So you can like summarize like what's the average time you spend on what in a day?
Okay, so difficult to say that it is a standard. Matlab, I would not put it like that, average time for this, that. But in general, I'll tell you how things goes, right? I plan my things into three quadrants, right? New initiatives, enhancements, and as I said, noise, right? Now, if I go one layer deeper, there is a framework called PDCA: plan, do, check, and act. Okay, so plan this, do this, check on this, and act on this, right? Act on this could be things which are firefighting, like very ekdam quickly CEO, CPO, someone is told, like some clients feedback, like quickly this needs to be fixed, right? Or some issue has happened on production, this needs to be addressed quickly. Act on that. Check is something, maybe some feature is PRD is done, engineering team is developing, just check with them what's happening, right? Something has been released, check with marketing team, how is the adoption, right? Plan, do, check and act. So we did check and act, now plan and do, right? So do is basically tasks that I am responsible for, not accountable, okay? Responsible for. So I am responsible for a feature ka PRD or a GTM plan. I'll work on that, right? And plan is plan basically, right? So this is how I divide my day. All my days sort of are divided into these four quadrants. बाकी अगर general if I were to tell how does a day in a life of a PM looks, so PM usually has a daily stand up where they have to catch up with the development team, engineering team basically, right? To know what's happening, right? Who's working on what. If there is a PRD walkthrough, they have to give a PRD walkthrough to engineering team. Okay, this is the PRD I wrote, and you guys put your questions front, and whatever your doubts, let's solve it and close the gaps in the PRD. Then PM has to work with the designer. If there is a new initiative, you would need high level, high fidelity wireframes, right? Or some prototyping done for a particular product or feature. So you would talk with a designer, you will explain them with a basic wireframe. Okay, this is my idea, this is what feature looks like, and I want high level wireframes from you, right? So वो हो गया. Then if you are working majorly in B2C organization, then you have to interact with your marketing team also to see adoption and campaigns that are running for your feature or product. Then if you are in a B2B organization, you have to talk with your customer success team or sales team, whoever is the client facing, right? Because in B2B, your product vertical will fundamentally not have 1 million clients, right? You will have like a set of 20, 30, 10, 15 clients, right? So you need to ensure that you are having a good communication like with them, right? So I think this is how it looks like. Yeah. I mean, it's as I told, my day is divided across PDCA, right?
Hmm.
And there like the day can vary. Like I have a call scheduled with a stakeholder who speaks with the industry folks in this current company every alternate day. Like I don't have a call every day, right? So that's something sort of goes into a check sort of bucket, right? Check or
Paid courses or something you took to learn product management.
I think I answered that, right? You meant the interview part, right? The later part of this one,
Yeah, but
correct?
initially to learn, do you remember any specific website you used or something like that?
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
you can share me the links
yeah,
after
yeah,
any
yeah.
specific
So,
YouTube channel or something like that.
okay, okay. So I think again, fundamentally, what is important is to for a fresher, it's important like for a fresher or someone who's not officially been part of a product management culture team, right? To understand what this role in its entirety looks like, right? Overall, like high level पे कैसा दिखता है ये सब. So that's one. So where I learned is mostly free resources, YouTube, Google पे जहाँ wherever I could find whatever I could find, right? So I think the product folks has a good community. They have a lot of free resources, so one can take benefit of that. On YouTube also, I think nowadays there is no shortage of free, great quality content on product management. There's no shortage of that on YouTube. Just go free product management course, syllabus, curriculum. You can search like that, and I guess I'm sure the YouTube will not disappoint you, right? Right. So there's a lot of free resources. Exponent has a good channel, right? Around interviews, but they don't. The downside of that is it's a very interactive, real-time kind of simulation of an interview, but there's no explanation of what framework, what kind of structure around the thinking has been put to create that answer, right? There's that is missing, right? For system design, there's a channel by Gaurav Sen on YouTube. It's a very good channel. He has a very elaborate playlist on system design. So I use his channel, a couple of other channels as well. Then for PM interview, I learned mostly from Exponent, right? And then from different communities, speaking with different people, learning from them to understand कि okay, there are 7 or 8 different type of case studies that might be asked in a product interview, and each of them has a sort of a framework, right? But don't try to fit your answer into framework, right? Try to understand what that framework is leading to, right? Why it is like that. Once you understand that, then you will never need that framework. You can comfortably find the answer on your own, right? So I think Exponent is good. That Gaurav Sen's channel is also very good. Then the TPF community also has a lot of free resources. They have videos also. That is also very good. So I think these three are good enough to start with. And then there are some basic courses on Udemy as well. You can get for very cheap cost, like 300-400 rupees. Mein, you can get some good PM courses on Udemy, which help one understand what that role looks like. So this is what I started with.
Got it. Cool. I think the next question I had is like, let's say the chances of cracking a PM interview is not so easy, right? Because you might get some new questions or let's say
Yep.
unpredictable questions, you know. So before
Yep.
I got a call for an interview for a product manager role. What are some of the key things a person who is attending a PM interview should prepare?
So I told you, right, there are some soft skills that one has to have for a PM role, right? And they should reflect in your interview as well. So communication, when so let's say you are the interviewer and I'm the candidate, right? So I should ensure first that my communication is very precise and very clear, right? Always ensure at every step of your interview, at least in a 60-minute interview, you should ensure at least 8 to 10 times that you and the interviewer are on the same page regarding every point, every phase of the answer, right? That you are giving, right? Or whatever case study you are solving with the interviewer. So that is one, ensuring that you are communicating very clearly, the interviewer and you as a candidate are on the same page, right? Uh, Third, Manoj, is I think structured thinking, right? If you are not able to break down the problem into structured chunks, smaller pieces, then you can get into soup, basically trouble, right? So I think when an interviewer gives you some random problem statement, counter question them, try to really understand why they are asking that question. I mean, product management and consulting interviews are only two interviews, probably, or two domains where the candidate has more than enough liberty to cross question the interviewer to really get to the root of the thing that's in the context, right? So I think candidate should well utilize that, right? Put your structured thinking hat on and really question the interviewer why he or she is asking you what, right? Where they are really leading to, what is the problem they are really trying to solve, right? So I think structured thinking and super crisp communication, these two are like most important, I guess. If you take care
Got
of
it.
these two things, very good. Third one, a bonus tip. I just recall that, right? So whenever you are trying to ask question, try to ensure you are asking that question in a quantitative way. right? When I say quantitative way, what do I mean is, let's say you are trying to ask your interviewer a question that, Manoj, so how many active users did the app have in the last month, right? या फिर what's are there, like, is there any drop in the usage by users in this month? Why ask in this subjective or qualitative manner? Rather, if you can showcase that thinking where you ask question, can you tell me the ratio of downloads in this month, right? So in this way, ask question where the answer would come naturally in a quantitative manner. This shows that you have that PM mindset, right? So because as a PM, you have to play around with metrics a lot, right? Different funnel layers of metric, different layers of funnels and their metric, right? So I think if you can ask questions during the interview, specifically root cause case study. So if you can ask questions in this kind of way, quantitative manner, right? That creates a different level of impression. So I'll tell you one interesting thing, right? There's a friend whose friend was interviewing for Google India, for PM role, and the interviewer said, "You can ask me questions only like this." The
Oh,
answer to which should be numeric value or a quantitative. There should not be any subjective question like, is there a competition, is there a new campaign by a competitor? ऐसा कोई question ही नहीं होना चाहिए. The only, like, question should only be in a quantitative form, like as in the answer to it should naturally come out as a quantitative or a number, right? So that was the kind of challenge interviewer had given him. So that's
mhm.
why I said this is actually very great thing, right? So I like that. So this is one thing I also follow and I tell everyone to follow. So these three things, if you follow, you can crack an interview, I guess.
Got it. I think the number one was really interesting. Yeah, so before you ask, you need to even think, यार इसका आंसर नंबर होगा कि नहीं. So, got it.
Exactly, बिल्कुल.
I think you summarize most of
एंड
the thing,
उसका
but
एक
if you
अदर
can,
साइड भी है. मुझे लगता है पर्सनली कि पीएम को मैट्रिक्स की बहुत अच्छी अंडरस्टैंडिंग होनी चाहिए, फनल और मैट्रिक की, राइट? कि वो क्या है मेरे प्रोडक्ट, फॉर माय प्रोडक्ट, हाउ डज द फनल लुक लाइक, इज देयर इवन दिस, लाइक देयर इज A3R3 फनल, राइट? पायरेट फनल वी ऑफन कॉल. तो फॉर माय प्रोडक्ट, even like does this step even exist or not, we should question, right? So I think very good understanding of funnel and metric is a good sign towards the person that, like, the person might be a good PM. So that is why I said, a lot of people who interview candidates for PM, APM, PM2, SPM role, they look after this thing, whether the person has that articulate thinking around funnel and metric. That is why this is sort of more and more coming into the play nowadays in a lot of interviews. I think I
got it.
interrupted. You were saying something. Please go ahead.
No, no, I was just saying, like, you had summarized all the things very correctly. So, last, like, more follow up on that is what are the common types of interview rounds for a product manager role, right? Because for other roles, let's say it's very easy to find here, let's say for development and all, it's like data structure round, there'll be a project round or something like that. It's very easy to articulate ki this will be the round. But for product manager, it changes a lot. So according to you, what are the most common rounds?
Okay, so it depends again on level, right? If you are an experienced guy, they will try to, mostly any company, and ideally that's how they should do it, right? Any company will try to gauge your experience. They would want to understand about the work that you have done, the kind of human being that you are, the kind of professional that you are, right? What are the projects you did, how you did it, what were the challenges, how did you tackle them, right? So all those things, how basically they will try to gauge the depth of your professionalism, like, right, your domain expertise in that role, right? That's one. For a fresher in product management, usually I'm telling for APM and PM1 roles only, not for product analyst, because product analyst interviews are very different and the process looks little different, okay? And that role is again different in different organizations. So what I'm trying to tell is applicable to APM and PM1. So how it looks like is, there are rounds. There is first a screening round by HR to qualify and understand whether, like, your candidature qualifies for that role and you fit in, right? Post that, there are usually 2 or 3 or 4 round depending on the organization, at least 3 to 4. Okay. So depending on the organization, sometimes some organizations give you a case study. Okay, we are giving you this problem statement in next 4 or 5 days. You solve this case study, send us a product deck back, and we will evaluate your level of understanding, right? Based on that, then they give you the next round, right? And in those round, it could be anything amongst these 6 or 7 categories. Like the first is product critic. Product critic is basically, Manoj, tell me what is your favorite product and why? What is the product that you dislike and why? So basically, they want you to criticize the product, but with a rationale. That's one category. Then there is a product design. So basically, Manoj, design a ATM for blind people, one of the very famous case studies. Okay. Then there is a guesstimate. Basically, uh, how many golf balls can fit in inside a Boeing 747, let's say. Oh, okay. Or let's say how many, I don't know, how many cell phones are there in India on Airtel or in Vodafone, like that. So guesstimation. So product critique, guesstimation, product design. Then there are product improvement questions, which sort of sound like how will you improve Google Maps? Now this is a very wide question, very shallow question if you see, right? Then your duty as a candidate, as a potential product manager, is to drill it down, right? So you have to counter question the interviewer, like when you say improve Google Maps, what do you mean? Do you want me to improve awareness, acquisition, activation, revenue, monetization? What do you really want? Or user experience, right? If the person says user experience, then you ask again, ki how do you define user experience for this app, right? In terms of Play Store rating, right? User experience must be reflecting somewhere, correct? So you ask that, you try to quantify and put a structure around it. So product improvement ho gaya. Then there is a root cause analysis, RCA case study. Basically, so let's say we are Flipkart and we will say our orders are down by 30% in last 1 week. So then you try to solve it. But first question is, what do you mean by orders are down, right? Is it the orders are getting cancelled, orders are getting returned, orders are not getting placed? What do you mean by it, right? So drilling down further. So that's root cause analysis, improvement. Then there could be GTM or market entry case study also sometimes, which is like, we have this product, we are going into this market, how will you plan the GTM? So usual framework for that is pre pre-launch, launch, and post-launch, how you manage these three activities. And then there could be this thing, market entry as well. So market
Hmm.
entry question or case studies usually look like, sorry for all the disturbance from dogs. Just give me a second.
No, bro.
So market entry case studies usually look like we have this product, certain product, and we are planning to get into this geography or this country or this market or expand into this category. Should we do that? Right? Now you have to solve it. And the final, I believe, could be this product strategy one, right? So again,
Hmm.
yeah, before that, there could be metric wala also. So basically, they tell you that, okay, Manoj, we have this product, Swiggy, Zomato, XYZ thing, and how will how will you measure the impact of your feature, or what are the metrics that you will track? Then the framework usually is something like that A3 R3 funnel. You go funnel wise, right? That's traditional framework. You can change it as per your need, right? So that's one. And at the last, there could be a product strategy question, but I personally feel product strategy is not the question that should be asked to a PM1 or APM person, because it's something that has to be defined by seniors, right? And it comes down that thing trickles down from CEO to CPO to business heads and like that, right? So I believe product strategy is something which is not usually asked, very rarely asked. But if it is asked at all, so in that case, how it needs to be answered is basically product strategy. I'll tell you. Product strategy does not mean marketing strategy, okay? Product strategy is very different. So basically, you have a product, let's say fitness product, okay? Now your CPO or your CEO says, Manoj, give me the product strategy for this product. Okay. Now what you do is you first take the goal of the company. Okay, this in this year, our goal or next 2-3 quarters, our goal is this. We want to hit more revenue. We don't care about profit and all right now. We are okay to burn money, but we want to hit more revenue. In that case, what you are doing is okay, our product is fitness product. Let's define it. Okay. Let's say you have a product which give 1 day passes, 2 day passes for gym and fitness studios. Okay, like that, you are making revenue out of that. Then as a product strategy, you try to explore what are again different verticals where you can take your product. It could be providing food delivery service for fitness oriented food, nutritious food, that you can create a subscription based something, right? You can create something for home based workout, something like that. So you can create a e-commerce platform for health and fitness product. So that is product strategy, right? And bring them to your platform, make more revenue. not make more revenue, but rather hit the goal that your CEO has set for you, right? So that's how product strategy is. So this was very high level explanation of what product strategy is. It's more, way more deeper, but I personally believe it should not be asked to a APM level person. So these
Got
are
it.
different 6 or 7 categories. Here.
Cool. I think you had explained most, like, I think all of the rounds which happens. So yeah, thanks a lot for that.
Yeah,
And the last question I
sure, sure.
have is
Most
any
welcome.
advice you want to give to product aspirants, right? I think from your explanation of interview, I feel you have attended a lot. So any specific advice you want to give, saying कि these are something you should avoid, भाई ये मत करना ही मत, or these are something you should keep in mind. Any specific advice?
Yeah, I think I have answered these. Do these, don't do
Huh,
this. I think I have already answered that. But I'll tell
got
you
it.
the advice that I have. Before you so go with a very strategic mindset, right? You have a goal to achieve. That is, I want to become a PM or APM, whatever you want to become in PM. It could be growth PM, whatever. First, at the top, very fundamentally understand what that role is, what that person has to do. First, understand that super clearly. Like, put your 1 or 2 weeks entirely into understanding that. Okay, that is first. Then backtrack from there. Whatever is your goal, understand, speak to people, understand what is required to reach to that goal. Okay, there is a very certain this path or roadmap, right? I think if one, like, if once you upload this podcast to YouTube, right, if one sees this entire conversation that you and I had over the course of last 60 minutes, anyone would understand that there is a very specific pathway to becoming a product manager. Okay, and I think I have told that across the podcast. So understand what is your goal, what is required to reach there, get, like, ensure that you have those things on your resume and across your portfolio, and then find what are the possible ways that lead to that profile. Maybe you will not be able to become a PM in the first go, but maybe you can become a product analyst, maybe you can become a business analyst, maybe you can become a product marketing manager, then you can become PM, right? So understand very well what a PM does, what does that role look like, what is required to become PM, APM, and what are the possible ways to reach there. And I think try to put a structure and strategy around everything. Simple.
Got it.
That is what on a high level I would say.
Yeah, I think all the questions are answered. Thanks a lot, Gaurav, for your time. It was very incredible. Like, I even learned a lot from this podcast. Thanks a lot.
Most welcome. To be on your podcast, and I hope a few aspirants at least watch this and they take the benefit of this conversation. Obviously.
Sure.
Thank you so much, Mona.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone. Do
thank
like,
you guys.
share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And also, I'll attach all the links in the description, and also the link with which you can LinkedIn profile link of Gaurav, so that you can connect with him. And if you have any specific question, feel free to leave it in comments and we'll get it answered.